Right, here we are, module 2. And we're going to be continuing on from where we got from, what did we do? We did the first module where we flew around the editor, looked at the absolute basics, and now we're going to move into the second module, which is an introduction to scripting. We're going to continue through the guide, the tutorial here, and we'll just pause and skip as we need to help it flow a bit better. Definitely a step up from the first module, but we should fly through this. Don't be too overwhelmed by it. The way I do these tutorials is I try and keep it followable for someone who doesn't know anything about scripting. However, it's strongly recommended to at least do some kind of foundation course for JavaScript and TypeScript, if possible. So, here we are. Module 2, Intro to Scripting. In Module 1, we built the layout for our world and added gems to it. There they are. Look at that. The next step is to begin building scripts to power these entities and manage the systems of our game. Create your first script. Let's start scripting. Players can and will come and go in at any time in a Meta Horizon Worlds game. Let's create a script that will help us understand the players currently in our game. This is a useful and common place to begin. So, if I'm following correctly, when I press play here in the previewer, my character, my account, is now in the game running about doing things. And we want to set up a script that is aware of when someone joins and when someone leaves. Simple as that. So, let's make a script. In the desktop editor menu bar, click the scripts panel button, which will be this one. So, yeah, okay. So that's one that I made already. Let's delete that so we can do it fresh. I think, yeah, that's fine. Let's click on this first, just to have a look at what it should look like. Here's one I made earlier. If you don't know anything about scripting, this will be quite overwhelming and perhaps I shouldn't have actually shown this. But this is what we're going to be making. A script like this, as standard, is going to have this at the top, which is import. It's going to have a section for class, which is like all of this stuff. And then at the bottom is register. I'm going to say, don't worry about this. Just know that it's always at the bottom. Don't worry too much about this, but know that it's always at the top. And then this is where we're going to be playing. We're going to be adding stuff. Two things to pay attention to is these things like static and private. These things that are just like listed here. And then secondly, this start section. The way I like to think about it is like a recipe book, like a recipe. Everything under start is your recipe, like steps, your instructions of what you're going to do. So when we start, we're going to do this and we're going to do this. And each thing, if you're completely new to coding, is inside a bracket. So we've got start, open, close, and then we've got open squiggly, close squiggly here. VS Code is very good at color coding this so that you can tell the difference between that one and that one. Also the indentation, obviously. So this one is in line here. So we know that everything here is under start and everything beyond that is its own thing. So where everything under start is our like cooking instructions, everything else, consider it like an ingredients list. So we've got a static props definition that we've added as an ingredient. We've got private player map, blah, blah, blah. And we've got some things down here as well, which are like ingredients that we're going to have just ready on our cooking counter, ready to go for when we start. And then this is the recipe that's actually run, the instructions. I'm saying that to preface something that I may as well just talk about because I'm talking about it now, which is this, import. So where it says import as HZ from Horizon Core, what does that mean? Consider Horizon Core like, imagine you went to the supermarket to get ingredients and you buy like a bundle. You like essentially buy a pre-prepared cupboard, like a spice rack, right? You buy a whole spice rack as one big unit and then you put that into your kitchen. So now you can make custom things, custom ingredients, like buy extra things, but you've got this like library, if you will. You've got this whole collection of items that you can cook with. And we refer to these items with the preface HZ. So for example, if we go into the steps here at the start, we've got HZ CodeBlockEvents. So that's an ingredient that we already have because it's in our library of Horizon Core. Yeah. Okay, cool. So don't be too overwhelmed, but we will start breaking these down as we go through it. And hopefully it's digestible and I can explain it well. So cool. Let's start scripting. We're gonna go to here and we're gonna press plus. And we're just gonna call this player manager. I recommend just put your own name. So I'm just gonna put Mitch to differentiate it from any others we might end up making, or just differentiate it from the complete one there. So that's doing something called compiling. Just let it do it. It takes a few seconds. I imagine there's something that will be quicker in the future. And there's a formal button here, but I just double click it, or just click it once even. It comes up. Cool. In the desktop editor menu bar, click the scripts panel. We've done that. In the scripts panel, click the plus icon to create. We've done that. Enter a name. Click the context menu for the new script in the scripts panel and select open in external editor. That was just this. It's just saying to formally click that line. But it's fine, you just click it and it opens. The default recommended IDE for editing scripts is Visual Studio Code. You can download and install it for free. So we already did this, but if you haven't, there you go. It's possible to create and modify scripts through the web interface. Don't worry about that. That's something that's not useful anymore. Locate your world. Click scripts. Okay, cool. Click scripts. Script template. The default script template creates and registers a Meta Horizon Worlds component named Player Manager for us to fill out, which looks like this. Sorry, let me reread that. Script template. There's default. Okay, cool. So we've just made a fresh one. So that's our complete one. Let's close that for now, and we'll just focus on this one. So this is the default generated code when we create a new script. We have import, which we spoke about earlier. That's like your pre-prepared list of ingredients that you just have ready. And then to use them, we preface with HZ. Class includes your custom ingredients and your list of steps to cook. And then register, don't worry about that, but just consider that a bookend at the end. Import API modules and components, so that's our import part. Class, define the class that you're extending from the abstract component class. Props definition can be used to define properties internal to the class or as properties available through the properties panel. More on this later. Start method is executed when the class is first loaded. Register an extended class must be registered with the abstract. Yeah, we'll come to that later. Add player map object. To track players in the world, we need to create an object store cached references to all players. We define this variable within the player manager class. In playermanager.ts, which is our script that we're playing with, place the cursor below the static props definition declaration, which is this. So we're going to place it below here. So because that indentation, what I tend to do is just click on the end and press enter, so I know where I am. Insert the following snippets to create the new map object. So just for ease, I'm just going to literally copy that, click here, Control V. Private player map, map, number, HZ player, new map, number, HZ player. I think we will break it down here, but what you just need to be aware is, so this term private, note that and note when it says HZ. For now, we're not going to worry about the syntax too much. We're just going to know about some of these elements of like at least what's going on. So private, the opposite of that would be public. So whenever in a script you see the word something begin with private, it's saying that this script needs to be concerned with this only. Whereas if you had something saying public, it would be something that interacts with the editor or other scripts. So the above declares a private variable, which means it is only available to code within the current script. Yeah, cool. The name of the variable is player map, which we've got here. The player map variable is of type map, which is where we have colon and then map, and then we've got some brackets here. The map keyword identifies the type that is being created. This map object has 2 dimensions. It contains 2 values of each entry, a number and a reference to the HZ player type. So that's what's going on here. We have a number, and then we have HZ, referring to our library of ingredients, HZ player. So that is a predefined thing that we've imported here. Equals new map number HZ player. HZ player at the top of the screen, you can see that the v2 API module is imported under the name HZ, as we've gone over. The HZ player refers to the player class that is available for the API. On the other side of the declaration, the variable is declared as a new variable of the map type, which is empty to start. I don't actually see squiggly lines. I wonder if that's supposed to be that with this declaration, we now have an object in which we can store and reference players in the game. So I thought it broke it down a bit more, but what I wanted to say is that we're, in layman terms, what we have is a private definition of player map, which is like a title that we're using, and player map is a map, which is like a JavaScript, TypeScript known thing. So we have a map, which includes a number and a player. So when a player joins the world, we're going to give them a number. Control Z. We're going to give them a number, and we're going to point out their name. Cool. Intro to Meta Horizon Worlds events in TypeScript. When players enter and leave the world, we must update the map object that we created to store them. To do so, we use the Meta Horizon Worlds built-in events API. These built-in events are called CodeBlockEvents. CodeBlockEvents cover common cases, such as when a player enters or exits the world. In TypeScript, we can connect or subscribe any scripts to these events. This is talking about subscriptions now, which is basically listening. So our objective here is to make this script listen to something happening in the game. And that thing that's going to happen in the game is when a player enters the world. And someone entering the world, what it's technically called on the back end, is... I might be jumping ahead here. It's called onPlayerEnterWorld. Will be the it's the name of the event of someone joining, and we're going to reference to that. So let me go back to the tutorial here. Add event listener for onPlayer. Oh yeah, sorry, no, that's exactly what we're doing. So cool. So as part of our recipe here, we've talked about ingredients. We're going to talk about the cooking steps here, and the first step is going to be listen for when a player enters the world. Under start. For our world, we need a listener to detect when a new player enters the world. The default TypeScript includes a reference to the start method, which is executed when the script is first activated. The start method in a script is usually the correct place to set up any event subscriptions. To create a listener, use the built-in connect CodeBlockEvent function. This function takes 3 parameters: this entity, CodeBlockEvent to which to listen, a callback function that passes a player object. Add the following to the start function for our player manager script. So yeah, without being concerned too much, we're actually gonna copy this one later. But this connect CodeBlockEvent, so that's the thing we're going to listen to. This entity, which I think is just pointing to this script. HZ, referring to what we've imported, this ingredient, which is CodeBlockEvents. onPlayerEnterWorld, player, which is going to be our player number, and HZ player, which is the name, which is the thing that we've imported, is going to go to our player map, which we've defined above, which includes a player ID and a player. Script breakdown. The above adds an event listener, this event CodeBlockEvent, for the script. This entity can receive events from players entering the world, CodeBlockEvents onPlayerEnterWorld. Inside the callback function, the new player is added to our player map object in the form of a player ID and abstract reference. So it's kind of saying the same thing, just in a formal way. Console login and previewing. Okay, cool. So if you're happy with this, even if you're not, don't worry about it. It's going to be a copy and paste job after this. So moving on, console login and previewing. It's all well and good to write the code, but we need to test it. Inside the callback function, we can add a console login message to verify the event is firing. For anyone completely new to coding, console login is basically where you get the code to like spit out some words and write something down, which is this part here. So console log, and then there's a, apostrophe, a single apostrophe for added player, colon, and then these brackets and things refers to things in here. So don't overthink it, press copy. And under start here, so I'm going to go in front of the bracket, press enter, and then Control V. Magic. We didn't have to type any of that out because it was all in the tutorial. So, to test, to reinitialize the simulation, if stopped, click the play button. Okay, so before we do this, we are going to do some good practice, which is we need to save this. So we go File, Save, which we can do Control S, which I prefer to do, Control S. I know that I needed to save it because if you remember, there was a white dot on your script here. Saving it has removed it, and now I know that's saved. So if I come over here, it says compiled. If I moved quicker just then and came back to the editor, it would have said compiling. But we know that that's fine now. You can always recompile if you're ever concerned there. That. Press play. Oh, hang on. One second. I didn't open the console. Here's the console. Clear. And press play. So what's supposed to happen here is in the console, we should have a message saying player has joined. Based on, no, sorry, it should be added player, which is what we've got written here. So to test, okay, cool. So I just did this, trigger, click the preview, done that. You will drop into the world at the spawn point. Since you entered the world, it should trigger the onPlayer event world event. In turn, this registers with our scripts event listener, which means that the new player, you, should be added to the map object. To test, click the console tab at the bottom of the screen. It's not working. Nothing is being logged, and the console is empty. And the reason for that is because we didn't attach it. So we're going to do that now. In Meta Horizon Worlds, scripts run when they are attached to objects, and we haven't attached our player manager TS script to any object in the world. In our case, the script does not apply to a specific object, so attaching it to, for example, one of the gems doesn't make sense. Instead, we attach it to an object that is not part of the gameplay experience. We now place an empty object in our world and attach our player manager TS script to that object. The empty object type can be used as a placeholder for scripts and an organizing node in your world's hierarchy. Intrinsically, it has no functionality and does not appear during runtime. So in layman terms, we want to use our script, which does appear in the hierarchy. It needs to be attached to a thing. And that text was saying it doesn't really matter where it is, but in order to be neat, you want to attach it to something that makes sense. And in this scenario where nothing makes sense, it says, okay, make something blank. So let me close that up. I'm going to go build, shapes, gizmos, sounds, colliders, empty object. Okay, there it is. Look at that. And with this empty object that we just created, we're going to right click to rename it. I think it meant in hierarchy here. So sorry, let me close. Why is that open? Empty object, right click, rename. And we're going to call that, what do you want me to call it? You're going to call it player manager. And that's what this box is now. I press W to get the lines up, and we could put that wherever we want it. I think it does actually tell me to move it to a location outside the play area of the world. Just to keep things simple, I am going to keep it here for now. Tip, yeah, don't worry about that. Do the following to attach the script to the empty object. Select the empty object. On the right of the screen, you can see the properties. It's this. At the bottom, scroll the way down. You may need to scroll down, that's fine. From the drop down, select the player manager option. So ours is going to say Mitch. Yeah, player manager _ Mitch. This reference is, yeah, that's fine. This also means that you can define multiple classes within a single script. Let's not worry about that. Test. Verify that the play button has been selected. Click the preview mode again. So it's saying that because it... Oh, wait, hang on. Yeah, so it wants me to do this and then play. But as I said in the first module walkthrough, is that you just press play. It all happens at once and we're good. So I did that twice. So that's why at the bottom here we've got user, added player, MoneyMich26. Why it's saying user, I'm not sure. Let's double check the code. Log, added player. Yeah, I'm not sure what that is. But anyway, it's working. We're good. So we've tested it. Nice. Now, to finish, we're basically going to repeat, but we're going to go exit flow. Connect to onPlayer exit world, CodeBlock event. We have handled the case of when a player enters the world. Now we need to manage player exits. Within the start function, connect to onPlayer exit world CodeBlock event, and when this event is emitted, remove the player from the player map object. Note, the onPlayer exit world event does not fire when you exit preview mode. Okay, so note, the onPlayer exit world event does not fire when you exit preview mode. To work around this limitation, test this event with a second player. So if you have a second player that you can test this with, amazing. I don't. So we're just going to continue here. Script breakdown. The above is very similar to the onPlayer event world event listener. In this one, the player is deleted from the map object. A message is delivered to the console. So the exact same, except it's someone leaving. Create separate handler functions. Right, this is where it gets a bit complicated in my opinion. So that's why we're not copying this one yet. So we have our script here. This is what you should copy in, but we're going to skip that just for now because we're now going to do this. Which is, it's not, I think you can not do it, but it's good form. And that's why we're doing this. I like to keep my connect code block event bindings short and simple. The volume of code inside my callback function might grow as my game grows, so I like to move all logic to a callback event handler. Let's do this now. The handle on player enter and handle on player exit functions are added below. These are declared as separate private functions within the class. They each take a single parameter. So the way I understand this is that what we have going on in our instructions, we're going to simplify that, and we're going to have like essentially pre-cooked items in our kitchen, going back to the cooking analogy. So we're going to have, where we've got static definitions and like custom ingredients that we're going to have ready, we're going to have even more, we're going to put them at the bottom. And that's what this is. So we've got import, as we know, we've got class section here. We define a couple of things at the top. We've got start, where we're going to have instructions of what to do. So start, we're going to listen for an event, that event being player enters the world. And on that scenario, we are going to activate handle on player enter. And activating this fires this. I don't know why it's in that order. But private handle on player enter. And then that will fire. Does that make sense? So we're going to start step one, do this, and as part of this, it's going to reference this chunk of code that we've moved down to the bottom. Which I assume the benefit, I think, is just to keep this part cleaner. So, and we've doubled because we've got someone joining and we've got someone exiting. And then same down here, we've got what happens when someone joins and what happens when someone exits. We're going to press this magic button called copy. And we are, no, we can't do that. Because if we do that, we need to, I don't want to complicate things too much. Instead, I'm going to copy, not import, because I'm going to leave that. Not even class. I'm going to copy from static all the way down to just before the register. Control copy, highlight static, all the way down to just before the register, and I'm going to press Control V. The reason I did this is because in register and in the class title, I've referenced the name of my script, which you may have called something else. So just to keep things simple, we're just copying that little bit in the middle. Okay, cool. Here's the white dot I was talking about earlier. Control S. That's saved. Minimize that, come back to our editor. Oh, that's not good. Oh, okay, because I was compiling. I had the game live and I was compiling at the same time, so we had a little freeze there. That's compiled, we're all good. So if we clear the console, so we can see what comes up fresh, press play. And in theory, that was supposed to... Oh yeah, okay, I don't know what I did there. Oh, okay, I think I turned that off. Interesting, so instead of clearing, I just turned off the message. So, play, there we are. User added player money-26, and if I were to leave, or another player was in the world and they left, we would have a similar message, but that message would be deleted player, that person. That's it. That's module 2. In this module, you created your first script, reviewed script structures of default script, added a user-defined map type to store players of the game, added an event listener to the start method, added console login for testing purposes, Successfully tested execution of the script, created event listener for CodeBlockEvents, onPlayer enter and onPlayer exit. In the next module, we build event and state management in a game manager. So heads up, it's about to get a little bit harder, but I'm hoping these walkthrough style guides will help you get through it, even without any experience in TypeScript. But heavily recommended to at least do like a Code Academy course. There's tons of YouTube videos and there's free courses online where you can learn the basics of JavaScript and TypeScript. Strongly recommend it, but technically you don't need it. That's it. I'll see you in the next one.